This is a great family film when you gather a couple of friends around with, the kids and stuff like that, and just hang out and watch it. And that's the kind of film that works excellently at home.
If you like Jack Black, then you're going to love this. If you've seen High Fidelity and you're like, yes, Jack Black is my man, you will love this. If you watched it and went, that guy's a dick, don't watch this.
If you're into music and comedy as an intersection, if you're not against Jack Black and you're looking for the sweet spot between, entertainment and family friendly, I would recommend this to almost everyone.
Hello everyone, joining Flixwatcher today we have Babs.
Hello.
Sophie.
Hello.
And Kobe.
All right.
And we're here to review School of Rock. Thank you, as always, to the mighty people for the mighty, mighty tunes. And thanks to Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills.
Please do remember to write a review and rate us on Apple Podcasts and anywhere you can do where you listen to the podcast, because it really does help us.
And you can join in the conversation with us on Twitter
at FlixWatcherPod and on Instagram
at FlixWatcher. Hello, film fans. Joining Flixwatcher remotely today, we have Babs and Sophie. If you could please tell our listeners a little bit more about who you are and the podcast you do, please.
I'm Sophie Davies and I host 2 TV podcasts. One is called Smash Prawns in a Milky Basket and it celebrates the work of Julia Davis. And the other one is called It's an S-Pod Thing. And I'm basically rewatching every episode of S Club 7's TV show from the late 90s/early 2000s. And a different guest joins me to analyse each episode in ridiculous detail.
How did you settle on S Club 7? Because I know there's many rewatches on podcasts about West Wing and The Good Place and these
good
kind of
shows.
classic. Yeah, exactly. You've gone, no.
Well,
I'm going to take a show that no one remembers.
I have one TV podcast that's celebrating really good work and then another TV podcast that is looking at ridiculous stuff.
Well, let's talk about Julia Davis then, because she's someone that is, to use Babs' podcast term, underrated, I think. There's a lot of people who know her really love her, but she's not in enough things for me to make her. I don't know why she hasn't popped in the way that other people have.
Yeah, because she's been creating TV shows for about 20 years now, quite regularly. She hasn't had any massive gaps, really. Like, she's constantly been creating stuff. And she's annoyingly, most people know her from Gavin and Stacey, which she's in but didn't create, because obviously that was a huge mainstream hit. Her stuff is a lot more dark and niche. I started the podcast really because I think she kind of is very underrated and doesn't get the credit that she deserves. And she's done so much excellent work over the years. So yeah, for every episode I have a different guest, like a comedy writer or a TV critic or a comedian. And we just kind of praise a different Julia Davis show really for an hour or so and talk about how amazing it is.
Yeah, it's almost like a cult-like thing, isn't it? Like with, there's people like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, for example, where that's just too much for some people. It's too much for me sometimes, Garth Marenghi, but Matthew Holness is one of those people as well where you just think, I really like you, but also it's a bit much. But Julia Davis isn't much. I think she just hasn't crossed over with her own stuff for some reason.
Yeah, it can get very dark. It's sort of, recommendability score kind of depends on the person I'm talking to, really. Sure. Yeah, but she's done quite varied stuff again. It's not her sort of doing the same stuff every time. It's, very varied work, just not being watched by enough people, unfortunately.
And Babs, talking about over underrated, who are you?
So, yes, I'm Barbara Mendes-Jorge, and I'm one of the 2 hosts of Over Underrated, which is a music podcast. And basically, my co-host Fran and I think of a topic like a genre, like Britpop, or a place like Glasgow, and then we pick a band or artist that someone thinks is overrated and someone else thinks is underrated. And then we normally make a 5 or 10 track playlist, depending how long we want the episode to be, which showcase why we think that artist is great or not. So, sometimes we're making playlists to really try and convince the other, like, no, this band is really good. And actually sometimes we have a lot of fun making a playlist to be like, no, this is why this band is really bad. So one of the examples was we did an episode on hair metal with a guest, Matt Hoss, who also has a music podcast, Castival, and he picked Bon Jovi, but I didn't know because I didn't talk to him. It was Fran. I didn't know whether he liked Bon Jovi or not. And the first song he put on the playlist was John Bon Jovi doing A Fairy Tale of New York, both parts. And I thought, okay, please tell me this guy doesn't like Bon Jovi, because if this is what he's saying is the best, I don't think we're going to get on. And mercifully, he didn't like Bon Jovi. He picked the worst songs, and we had a great time tearing them apart.
And you're still friends, you and Fran. There's been nothing that has caused any heartbreak, tears, or anything.
Yeah. I think
it's always a risk, isn't it?
It is a risk, and actually we've never met in real life. We met through social media. We met because we were both in comedy podcast Facebook groups and kind of came together in lockdown with this idea. I hope to go to the UK because I'm based in Brussels in Belgium, and I haven't been to the UK since lockdown, though I was in the UK when lockdown was announced and I had to very quickly come back to Belgium in March 2020. So I hope to meet him one day. Maybe when we meet, that's when the scuffles will happen. Right now there's a computer screen between us. It's okay.
You can't reach in and pull him out like Poltergeist or something. Yeah. or Ring. Well, we're talking about films today, and today it's School of Rock, which is your choice, Babs. So can you tell us, first of all, why you chose it? And then I'll get a countdown timer. Mm-hmm.
So perhaps unsurprisingly for a comedy fan who has a music podcast, here's a film that has intersections in both. I remember the exact date, I think, that I saw it at the cinema, Valentine's Day 2004, with my then boyfriend. So maybe not your classic Valentine's Day film, but it really blew the both of us away. I think I expected it to be good, but not that good. It was my first Richard Linklater film, I think. Oh, really? And it's one of my all-time favourites. So when I saw it as a potential on the list, I thought, no, this is the one I have to go for to rewatch. And it's been a while since I'd rewatched it.
So I'm going to get the timer down.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so Jack Black is playing a struggling guitarist called Dewey Finn. He's in a band and, is prone to big guitar solos, which puts him at odds with the rest of the band, so he's kicked out. He is living on the living room floor of his friend Ned Schneebly and his girlfriend Sarah Silverman, who is in this kind of shrew character, Pata DiMarco, and, she's kind of constantly shouting at him to get a real job and pay the rent. So one day, Ned Schneebly, the friend, receives a call for a job to be a substitute teacher at this very posh prep school. Dewey takes the call and decides to disguise himself as Ned to get the money for the rent. So he goes there, he's slacking around, but then he witnesses the musical talent of the students in this prep school, and he decides, okay, I'm going to form them into a band. We're going to go and win Battle of the Band so I can win the money to pay the rent. But he has to do it in secret, obviously, because the school can't find out.
Very good. Very good. Well under. It's a good film question at pub quiz for School of Rock. And it catches a lot of people out. What is the character? What character does Jack Black play in School of Rock? And most people go, yeah, Mr Schneebly. And like, no. It's Dewey Finn pretending to be Ned Schneebly. And it does catch a fair few people out. Sophie, what are your thoughts on School of Rock?
Yeah, I love this film. I think this came out when I was right in the early years of high school, so ideal timing, really. I remember it being very loved and frequently quoted in school because I guess the humour is it's not too childish and it's not too adult. It's kind of a perfect family-friendly film, really. I remember there's that bit where he puts 3 fingers up and says, read between the lines. And I remember people saying that in school all the time, sort of getting away with being a bit rude. But I hadn't watched it in quite a few years, so I was looking forward to rewatching it for this. And I really enjoyed it. I think it's just still a very good family-friendly film.
Helen?
So I didn't see this at the cinema. I probably saw it maybe a year or a bit, probably when it came after. I can't really remember. It definitely wasn't at the cinema. I think it's fine. This time round watching it, I still thought it was fine. I think for me this time round was all the women in it are either really, really annoying and naggy, or they're cold-hearted and have no soul. And
I did notice Babs calling Sarah Silverman a shrew, which is not her kind of character at all, is it?
Mm-hmm. And the kids, they've just got no personalities, and the songs just don't really do it for me. So I think it's fine. I know so many people love it. Maybe I was a bit too old for it, and had I been a bit younger, I might have been a bit more enamored with it, but I think it's fine. But I know a lot of people love it more than anything. But yeah, that's where I am with it.
I think this is a film that somehow, even though Jack Black isn't a typical kind of movie lead, it all comes together because of Jack Black. I can't think of anyone else who could have pulled this off in the same way, with the same kind of hints of comedy and musicality and Jack Blackishness that he brings to the kind of role. Schlubby, but kind of friendly, well-meaning, but also a bit of a dick kind of character that he manages to pull off, and you kind of see, you can see people getting around him. And I kind of agree with Helen in terms of the setup, well, the kids and everything else, but it's a Jack Black show, and I think he's one of the most talented people we have on TV screens, on film screens, when he wants to be. Some films he doesn't do that, but in this is a Jack Black showcase, and I'd be interested to know how the film came together. Was it like a Jack Black thing, or was it like, here's a script and we need to find someone, and he came along? Incidentally, he's one of my favorite people to follow on Instagram at the moment. During lockdown, his Instagrams are fucking hilarious. So if you don't follow Jack Black, do. And recently he did a take on the Beatles medley, which ends Abbey Road. Him and Kyle Gass doing a take on that, and it was generally watched like 20 times in a row because it was just outstanding. One of my favorite songs done by Jack Black. But yeah, I don't. I think it's all about Jack Black in this film.
Yeah, it feels like it was written for Jack Black, and obviously it was written by Ned Schneebly, Mike White.
Mike White, I was going to say. Yeah.
I wonder, if they're close friends. I know I have friends who think Jack Black are annoying, and if you think Jack Black is annoying, then you're probably going to hate this film because, as you say, he is centered. But for me, it is the perfect mix of kind of him being a dick, but also charming. He's so good with the kids that for me that makes it. And on rewatch, definitely the kind of Hollywood ending is a little bit annoying, but I think it is a pretty good mix of music, comedy, and heart, and the music absolutely does it for me. Like it really is, my kind of thing. I'm very much into rock music, although I found it interesting that he has a very, what I feel is now, a boomer attitude of like, rock music is the only good music. When he's asking the kids like, oh, what music do you like? Oh, Puff Daddy, Christina Aguilera, and he's like, no. And I was like, well, come on, that's a bit old fashioned now. Like, you can like rock and you can like other stuff, but I really like the music, and I'd forgotten a few of the ones like Step Off and singing about maths, and I thought that I still enjoyed that bit.
Sophie?
Yeah, I think the only proper negative I've really written down is Sarah Silverman's character, because I think that is the one part of it that does feel quite dated. She's a very sort of one-dimensional, nagging girlfriend, and it's very like, oh, my friend Ned used to be fun, and now he's got this girlfriend who's spoiling all the fun. I really like the headmistress character as well. I think she isn't just a kind of stereotypical headmistress, because she could have easily been the villain of the film. But although she is strict, it is a funny character as well, and we kind of see another side to her when they go out for a drink, like she's relaxing a bit. I think it's quite cute how she's like really wanting to know if she's doing a good job and how does the school compare to other schools you've been at. That's quite sweet, and I really love the delivery at the end where she walks into the room where all the parents are and just goes, I've been informed that all of your children are missing, and she just doesn't care anymore. I quite like that she's not kind of like the villain who's spoiling the kids' fun in the film. In the end, she's just quite sort of up for it, and she enjoys the performance.
Yeah, that when she comes in at the end after the performance, she walks in and is like, that was incredible.
Yeah,
and that kind
I'm
of like
furious, but it was incredible.
Joan Cusack. No, again, someone who hasn't managed to sing for me in films. She's always been just Joan Cusack's brother, which is a bit of a shame. Helen, we've had Jack Black before on Bernie, and that was another Richard Linklater joint, wasn't it? Was that Richard Linklater?
It was, yes. And we were
That's
all
probably
like
his oddest.
Very
Richard
strange,
Linklater
and
film.
we hadn't heard of it, and we didn't know it'd come out, and it was slightly odd. So, and then we've also had Boyhood as well.
Yeah.
So
which is like prime Linklater.
Love Boyhood.
Yeah.
Seen it twice at the cinema.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and enjoyed it both times, yeah. But I don't like all Linklater. Like, I'm much more of a, Boyhood, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset. I don't really like Dazed and Confused. I think Dazed and Confused is massively overrated.
How dare you get out?
Okay, bye.
He hasn't done many other films like this sort of thing, has he? Like big sort of family-friendly blockbuster affairs.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, that, isn't it? It's like, this almost could have been like a Robert Zemeckis film if there'd been some more special effects in it. So it is, that Bernie and this are kind of outliers, but I think he still pulls it off. But I think he really just had like Mike White's script and let Jack Black go. And I wonder how much Jack Black improvised stuff.
Yeah, there were so many funny lines. I agree with you, Sophie. So many the read between the lines. I had like a nostalgia flashback again of people saying that to me at school. But so many good lines of, they do the classics: Mozart, Beethoven, Enya. I've been touched by your kids, and I'm sure I've touched them. Even the interaction between Spider and Principal Mullins, lots of bangers, music wise and quote wise.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen "You're tacky and I hate you" as a meme quite a lot. That comes up.
I think when I first saw Jack Black, when he stood out to me, was in High Fidelity, and obviously he's been the same kind of Jack Black there, but he has a few of those that read between the lines. He does the same kind of gag, but he goes. Obviously, this is a podcast, so guys, you haven't seen what I did there. But it is very much a Jack Black show. I don't think he's done anything really to level this, has he? Tenacious D kind of wax and wanes for me, depending on. But there was Nacho Libre as a film where he played a Mexican wrestler, which was not that good.
He had a brief stint as a romantic lead in The Holiday, which we also covered.
Yeah.
I think the best thing, in my opinion, the best thing he's been in recently has been Jumanji, where he's basically a teenage girl in Jack Black's body throughout the whole film. I thought that was a good performance from him. That amused me a lot.
Yeah, when I was looking at the filmography, I thought, what stood out for me recently was Kung Fu Panda, which he's very good in it. But for me, this is his film. Shallow Hal doesn't exist.
Oh my God.
I forgot about Shallow Hal.
That was it. They were trying to make him a leading man, and they couldn't work out how to do it. And then they did with this, and then they're like, okay, we've got no more ideas. You can just go back to just being yourself, which is harsh.
Give him a guitar. That's what he needs, isn't he?
Absolutely. But you said you didn't like the music so much in this, Helen.
Not really.
Or was it the original music you didn't like, or any of the music?
The original songs didn't really grab me that much. Obviously, Led Zeppelin.
Maybe we're making straight A's, but we're down in the down days.
Yeah, just really do it. And in answer to your question you sent around earlier, I believe this is not a musical. As we've had this conversation kind of before. As my rules are that as the plot is not driven by the songs. So if it's driven by songs, then it's a musical. If it's a film with songs in it, then it is not.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think there are moments where music is definitely used to further the story, like the Stevie Nicks thing, where, Edge of 17 is the changer, but the music comes in and out randomly, and I think it all the better for it, really.
I haven't seen the musical. Has anyone seen the stage musical? I assume that is more song than the film, unless anyone's seen it. Have you seen it, Kobe?
No, and I was going to ask. That was going to be a question because I kept on seeing it and thought, and I go to in the before times, you just go to a musical once every couple of months or some show, but every time I just thought.
Yeah, I'm really into musicals, but to be honest, I've got no real interest in seeing Andrew Lloyd Webber's take on School of Rock with a script from Downton Abbey's Julian Fellows. It doesn't really. Yeah. So if someone invited me and said I've got a spare ticket, I would go along, but I wouldn't go out of my way. But as you said before, it is like a load of new songs. So, and I agree that the film isn't a musical. It's just kind of a film about music with music in it. And it's all in the context of doing a gig or rehearsing. People aren't just kind of bursting into song, in the street or whatever.
Okay, sorry, go Babs.
Well, I was just thinking, like, I do think the music is really earwormy. Like the Straight A's song, I don't think I'd heard it in, I don't know, 7-8 years, because it's not like I go and listen to it. But I was like, I remembered all the lyrics. Like, it really stayed with me, even though I've watched this song before maximum 3 times in my life. So it's quite interesting, Helen, that you're not such a fan, because for me it's one of the best things in it. But there we go. Music is subjective, and that's why there are music podcasts as well. There we go.
Okay, well, like yourselves, is that a little plug to OU?
A cheeky plug.
Over underrated music pod. Go find Babs and Fran, and they can tell you about. Have you got a filmic challenge in there somewhere, like a underrated, overrated soundtrack or something?
We've talked about doing soundtracks. Doing a soundtrack one, but that would be, I think, a bit difficult because I think it would just have to be a 2-part episode, really, because, okay, you could have a soundtrack that's all composed by one person, like, I don't know, Johnny Greenwood or Trent Reznor or something like that. But I would much rather prefer to discuss, I don't know, something like The Craft, or my favourite underrated soundtrack is Cherry Bomb. Do you know the Rupert Grint film? No. Yeah, really, really good underground Northern Irish bands and other bands, totally left field. But yeah, in future, I think it would be nice to do.
Okay, well, let's head to the scores, guys.
Hello, I'm Kate Lever, host of Who's a Good Dog, the podcast for anyone who's ever loved a dog. We're one of the other podcasts in the Stripped Media family. Each episode, I ask a brilliant person to introduce me to their dog and tell me how having a dog has changed their life. Listen to Who's a Good Dog wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the Flixwatcher scores. All of our scores are out of 5. You may have decimal places if you wish, and we will start with you, please, Babs, with your recommendability.
So it's going to be a 5 from me. If you're into music and comedy as an intersection, if you're not against Jack Black and you're looking for the sweet spot between, entertainment and family friendly, I would recommend this to almost everyone.
Sophie?
Yeah, 5 as well. Family friendly. I don't think there's anyone that I wouldn't recommend it to for any reason.
Helen?
I'm going to go lower. I'm going to go 3.5. I think if you like Jack Black, then you're going to love this. If you don't, you're probably not going to have a great time, because it kind of is the Jack Black show and the most kind of Jack Black. Like, if you've seen High Fidelity and you're like, yes, Jack Black is my man, you will love this. If you watched it and went, that guy's a dick, don't watch this.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 4. I think it rests on whether you're going to be interested in Jack Black, and you guys are potentially, Sophie and Barbara, just sending people down the road to watch Jack Black and they might not like him at all. Was he in Be Kind Rewind as well? That was a good Jack Black performance, wasn't it? With Mos Def, old school film.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, check it out.
Yeah, it's on the list.
Repeat viewing score, Barbara.
5 from me. As I said, it's the 4th time I've watched it. We'll happily watch it again, and actually probably more soon than the last time I watched it. So yeah, 5 from me.
Sophie?
4. Yeah, I couldn't watch this, every week, but I would happily watch it again in a year or so. 4 for me.
Helen?
Yeah, so I kind of went into this thinking I might have a different experience from what I had before, and maybe I'd mellowed in my old age, or I just kind of go into it in a different way. But I'm not going to probably go back to this again now. So I'm going to give it a 2, 1 for each time.
I'm going to go for 3.8. Will watch it again. I think it's a bit. Yeah, I think when I need a Jack Black fix, I don't know when that will be. But this is great, and I do like the soundtrack, and I do like how it ends with him doing the solos with the kids and stuff like that, and it's all family fun and. Yay! You're leaving a high, and it is a bit Hollywood, but at the same time, that's what it's for, isn't it?
I did enjoy, just to say, the meta nature of the ending, which I've forgotten, where they say the movie's really over, but we're still on the screen. That was a nice little touch.
Small screen score.
I've gone low for this one too. I think because I watched it at the cinema and it was such a great experience. But I think also because it is a musical film, I think with live performances. It's best watched on a big screen. So I think watching it on a small one did take some of the viewing pleasure.
Helen, do you think this could be a secret cinema with live performances at the time? Helen used to work for Secret Cinema.
I don't have any insight into the creator of Secret Cinema's mind, but it would be kind of one of the more funner, family-friendly ones. I was just thinking that it would be maybe kind of a cool experience, even if Secret Cinema weren't interested, but to kind of have like a live reenactment of maybe some of the music. They've done things like that. But yeah, it would kind of be cool, I guess, maybe to go around and be able to play in the band and join in and kind of jam in with that as a nice kind of immersive experience.
Yeah, you could have like a the rock stage, the battle band stage, the school sets. You can have people playing and just like jamming together,
practicing their bass faces,
making band names and band emblems and stuff. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I can
Making your band posters.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Definitely.
I'm gonna create a new company called Hidden Cinema, and start out with School of Rock. Sorry, who's up next?
Sophie, I think.
Me.
Sophie, yeah. Apologies.
Small screen score 4. I haven't seen this in the cinema, so I don't really have anything to compare it to, but I don't think it particularly suffers from being watched on a small screen. Taking a point off, because I could imagine the music would be quite cool in the cinema.
Sorry, Barbara, what was your score?
My score was 2.
2. Helen?
Yeah, so if this was playing at the Prince Charles, would it make me want to go straight in? Probably not. So I think it works on a small screen, and I think it's kind of maybe one that, kind of get the family around to watch together. So I'm going to give it a 5 for small screen.
Yeah, I think this is a great family film when you gather a couple of friends around with the kids and stuff like that, and just hang out and watch it. And that's the kind of film that works excellently at home. So yeah, small screen score 5. Engagement score, Barbara?
I've gone for 5 again. I think it's a great cast of characters. It's difficult to manage that many children, and they are broadly very good actors who all get their time to shine. I thought the pacing was great. As mentioned,
well, the bassist she didn't get a solo at the end, did she? Always
that is not great. I would have liked, especially because there's so much focus on the male characters, it would have been nice to have a bit more focus on the female characters. Although, is it Tamika, the girl who sings? That's the scene where he's talking to her about being fat went viral recently, because they were saying there was so much fat phobia in films from this era, and actually that's handled quite delicately. And it was interesting to watch that again and be like, because basically Jack Black says, I'm chubby and I'm sexy, and it's like, wow, okay, how many films even now are saying that? So that was quite good. But yeah, 5 for me, because I'm just biased. I just love this film.
Sophie?
5 as well. I think it's a good length, 1 hour 45. I don't think it really drags at any point. And there are quite a lot of characters, so it always feels like there's something kind of different going on. It's quite varied from scene to scene. You're learning new things about characters all the time. So 5.
Helen?
Yeah, get a little bit lower. 3.5 for me. I kind of was waiting for it to. There's a bit sort of when they're kind of practicing, and there's quite a big gap between them getting to the battle of the bands, and I was kind of waiting for it to kind of get on there. So 3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go for. I don't think he needs to pay attention that much. I think the music kind of really kicks in, and when he's interacting with the kids, it's most fun. But then there are kind of slow bits. Like I say, every time Sarah Silverman's on screen, it's just not. She's such a fantastic comedian. It just annoys me that she's almost been wasted in this. So 3.5, and that gives us an overall score of. Oh no, Helen, I've gone over your score. What did you say? 3?
3.5.
You were 3.5 as well. So. Gives an overall score of 4.08125, which is decent. Let's head over to Twitter, guys. And if this is your first time listening to us, do follow us, guys, on Twitter. We are at FlixWatcherPod. And do follow us because we put a shout out before we record. And this is your opportunity to get your voices heard on this podcast. Listen out for a tweet like this. We're reviewing School of Rock with S-Pod Thing and OU Music Pod. Have you seen it? Tell us your thoughts. And you'll score out of 5 for a shout out on Flixwatcher. And we had a decent response for this. I guess there's a lot of love for this film. OU Music Podcast, you're not allowed to comment until this episode's recorded, so we're going to discount your tweet. But do you want to read the first one out? There
was a lot of responses. So Simon Conyers at SD Conyers said, peak Jack Black, the Jack is black, which I think matches what we've been saying.
Yeah, but only 3 guitars.
See, I didn't see that. I just thought it was rocking out. I didn't think of that as it was too literal there.
People tend to get quite creative with the with it. Sophie?
Lee Thomas, 4 stars. Wonderful comedic performance from Jack Black. Loads of great quotes. Cello, you've got a bass. I don't know what that means.
Cello, you've got a bass.
Oh yes, of course. This came out the same year as Pirates, where Depp was Oscar nommed. brackets, 2 exclamation marks, for being a bit funny, yet Black got nothing. The Academy hates comedy.
Helen.
I will go with Alex Flowers. Jack Black is perfect for amping up this fairly average feel-good family flick. The kids are pretty stilted in this, which brings it down from a 4 devil horns to a 3 devil horns.
And I think we've got one more.
So the final one is Alex Elliott, who says, the final push of Jack Black from B to A-list star, a fun family film that gets 4 stars from me due to it venturing a bit too far into sentimentality.
Yeah, I think that kind of touched on a fair few things we were talking about in the episode. So guys, just remind everyone where your podcast is and say thank you and goodbye to everyone who's listening.
So you can find Over Underrated on Twitter at OU Music Pod, on Instagram at Over Underrated Music Pod, and I am at Flame Me Up on all social media platforms. You can tweet me to find out why.
And I'm at It's Sophie Davis on Twitter, and you can find my podcasts It's an S-Pod Thing and Smashed Prawns in a Milky Basket, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure revisiting School of Rock. Cheers.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty, mighty tunes, and Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Ben, and that's Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.